Has this ever happened to you? Your tractor either suddenly stops moving while mowing or doesn't move once you start it. You try reverse and forward and nothing happens. Or maybe, like you see here, it moves only a little tiny bit both forward and reverse, which may or may not be the case for you. Here, maybe a belt came loose, but it's still sitting inside the pulley, so it can only move a little bit. In this case, the mower stopped working after running over some sticks and hearing a loud sound like a bang. But as you can see, the mower blade engagement belt works just fine. So it's time to bring it into the garage and diagnose the problem. This isn't my garage, and I only have some basic tools with me, so we'll see what we can do. If we look from the hole in the side of the tractor toward the rear, and we try and feel around for any loose belts, we can see that there are a few different belts. One is very long, but it's only a little bit loose. And a little bit higher up, here's a pretty loose one. This one is the drive belt, and it wraps around several pulleys. You can see how much I'm able to move it back and forth, so it must have fallen off one of the pulleys. So to access this part of the tractor and get a better view, on this model of Troy Bilt, we need to remove the battery. Note that I'm using rubber gloves and rubber-handled wrenches and pliers to loosen up these nuts on the terminals. Make sure to be safe when you're messing around with batteries, and any power equipment for that matter. If you feel like you're in over your head, there's nothing wrong with having a professional deal with it. Then we can pull out the metal battery holders by just twisting them back and forth a bit and then yanking them out. Now we get a much better view of the belts and pulleys back here. And now we can positively see that this loose belt is definitely the drive belt. I'll shake it a bit from a couple different sides so you can see. I don't really feel like I need to take the deck off for this repair to make it faster and easier. I can reach in here directly in the back for a bit of quick access, but it's not very convenient. So I'll also use this hole in the side to access the drive belt and pulley directly. And when we reach in there, we can feel that the reason the belt is so loose is because the tensioner spring seems to have popped off. I'll try and get a better view here so you can see the tensioner move back and forth. When the spring is on there, you can't really move this so easily. Now on this particular model of Troy Bilt, if we go to the back left side and just look underneath the footrest, we can see the side where the tensioner spring is supposed to be attached. I'm just grabbing the end of the spring right here with the yellow needle nose pliers. Be careful when doing this because it can go flying and ricocheting off of anything. It's obvious that the spring is not on there because of how much range of motion this thing has. So now it's time to try and pull off this pulley. First, I'm just going to try a socket or two to see which one fits best. And once I have a close enough match, I'm just going to use a short handheld ratcheting socket wrench to loosen it up. Once you've untightened the bolt, you just use your fingers for the rest of it and make sure not to drop it down in there. And you can see that the pulley comes right off, and there's a hole that's relatively easy to find again to get the pulley back on later on. And that's the whole assembly right there. Now I'm using that side hole to try and find the right angle to position this tensioning arm so that I can put the pulley back on easily. And once it's in about the right spot, I'm just reaching back in there with the pulley and the bolt already inside it to try and put the belt into the groove and position it into the correct place so I can tighten up that bolt again. And you can see that it doesn't take too much effort to find the hole and hand tighten it a bit. Then I can use that small socket wrench again to tighten it all the way. To make sure it's all good, I'm turning the pulley with my hand to make sure that the other pulley moves. So it seems like the bearings and everything else is probably okay. To finish this off fast and easy, I'm just going to use a heavy-duty rope I have laying around to try and stretch the tensioning spring and get it back into place. All I'm doing is pushing the rope through the hole where we want the spring to latch and hooking it onto the end of the spring. If you look here, you can see how the rope is hooked on to the end of the spring. You can see as I pull it that the spring stretches. You need to be careful here since the spring has a lot of tension and things can go flying out of your hands. So I just pull the rope and get the end of the spring to latch anywhere on the rim of that hole for now. Now, in my opinion, the easiest thing would be just to transfer the end of it using a good screwdriver. And just tug the rope and use the screwdriver to guide the hook end of the spring and let it go by pointing it into that other hole to the left of it, so it will slip off the screwdriver and can hook onto there properly and stay in place. Another option is maybe using a wrench or pliers to try and grab it and put it into place, but I think that's a little hard to do and it might slip out. I opted for the screwdriver and it really only took a few seconds with one pull. And it should just slip right into that hole. If we look back in there, we can see that the hook end of the spring is in the right place, with the rope still attached. So I'll just yank the rope out, and the spring will snap fully into place. And we can see from this view above that everything looks in order. I'll just quickly tug the belt a bit to make sure it's nice and tight. Now when we start it up again and engage forward and reverse, it actually moves. So we know this repair worked. And this tractor ended up mowing a couple of multi-acre yards right after this without any other problems. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe.